Racing to the 2023 Breeders' Cup, and this time we go to the city of brotherly love, Pennsylvania, for the Pennsylvania Derby. It's all part of a big card on Saturday that includes 14 races and the 2 Grade One stakes races. For the fillies, we've got the Cotillion. For the boys, we've got the Pennsylvania Derby. We will have a preview of the Cotillion up later on this week. It is going to be on Saturday, September 23rd. 9 furlongs of Grade One, a last chance for the 3-year-olds to only run against 3-year-olds before they face older horses in some of the fall stakes races and the Breeders' Cup. It did draw an 11-horse field. Let's take a look at this field. Starting at the rail, we've got a maiden, Modern Era. Modern Era comes in 0 for 8 lifetime. Uriah St. Louis, who's had a couple of long shot winners in these Grade One stakes races. He is going to send out this one 50-1 on the morning line. Dreamlike disappointed the last time as a favorite at Saratoga. That was a small field. The fractions were a little bit on the slow side. I think Dreamlike is going to get blinkers off, also gets Irad Ortiz, and going to get more of a pace to run into and a larger field. Of course, he is by Gun Runner, and he does have a maiden win by 6 lengths at Saratoga. One of the co-favorites in the race is Saudi Crown, 7-2 on the morning line. By Always Dreaming, a Kentucky Derby winner. Brad Cox trains back-to-back seconds last 2 times. Second in the Dwyer Stakes to Fort Bragg. Then second to Forte, a Grade One multiple stakes winner in the Jim Dandy. That was on a sloppy track. Should be a dry track on Saturday. Magic Tap goes for trainer Steve Asmussen. A win last time out is won 2 of 3. Won at Churchill Downs by 6. A win at Saratoga last time out against older horses. Scotland takes a class drop after winning the Curlin Stakes wire to wire for trainer Bill Mott. He's a son of good magic. Set the pace, quick pace in the Travers Stakes, faded late, probably bounces back here at a little bit of a price at 6-1. Daydreaming Boy has an upset chance, 3rd in the Smarty Jones, won at Parx before that. He's the only horse with multiple wins at Parx. Meanwhile, West Coast Cowboy, 2nd in the West Virginia Derby, 5th in a very competitive Iowa Derby. Kind of 4 horses across the finish line. 1 in Vermilion came back to win at Saratoga. And West Coast Cowboy trained by Saffie Joseph. Gilmore, a 4th place finish in the Amsterdam. That race was won by New York Thunder in a very fast time. 3rd in the Woody Stevens, 3rd in the Pat Day Mile, 2nd in the Bayshore. Gilmore quietly has danced all the dances. 7 for 9 in the money lifetime by Twirling Candy goes for Brendan Walsh. Cruppy, back-to-back wins. Started off his career with a bunch of runner-up finishes. Ran 7th in the Ridden Star as a maiden, 9th in the Wood Memorial. Then won at Monmouth, won at Saratoga last out. Getting a little bit better, comes in with an 87 Beyer speed figure and 15-1 on the morning line. Il Miracolo, the Smarty Jones Stakes winner. He also was 2nd to Scotland in the Curlin Stakes. Lost by 15 lengths in the Belmont, but he did run in the Fountain of Youth and the Florida Derby early this year. Reincarnate, 3-1 in the morning line. Bob Baffert, the trainer. He's the 2nd horse by Good Magic. Won the Los Ale Derby last time out. Defeated Skinner in that race. And before that, he ran in the Kentucky Derby. Helped set the pace in a very fast pace in that race won by Mage. An 11-horse field for the Pennsylvania Derby. We've got a maiden. We've got a couple of local horses coming off nice wins. You know, Scotland went up in class to the Grade One Travers Stakes the last time. Now he drops back down to a level with horses that he can compete against. He went wire to wire in the Curlin Stakes. And then Reincarnate, a little bit of speed, but draws that outside post. Plus he's got to face other speed in Saudi Crown. Top contenders on the betting board: Saudi Crown at 7-2, Il Miracolo, Scotland 6-1, and then 3-1 for Reincarnate. Of course, the Pennsylvania Derby, it does include a big card, 14 race field, 14 races on the card, an 11-horse field in the Pennsylvania Derby. Let's go to the race replays. Let's start off with Scotland, 2 races back. He's in the Curlin. He goes wire to wire. He's up on the engine, comes around the turn with the lead, goes on to the victory. Finishing 2nd in the Curlin Stakes was Il Miracolo, 3 for 5 for Scotland. Now Il Miracolo after running second in the Curlin Stakes. He came back, picked up a win while drifting out in the Smarty Jones Stakes at Parx. Drifted out late, but picked up the win at Parx, so he has a win over the track. Then we go to Reincarnate, the Losail Derby winner. We're going to take you back to the Rebel Stakes. He was third in this race. Never really had a chance to win. It was a sloppy track. He was also third in the Arkansas Derby and first in the Losail Derby for Reincarnate. And then one of the favorites, Saudi Crown. Let's go back to his most recent race, the Jim Dandy, facing good horses, Angel of Empire. Small field, Brad Cox trains, 4 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, was bobbed right on the line, losing to Forte at the finish line in the Jim Dandy. Saudi Crown tries to bounce back here in the Pennsylvania Derby. Overall, I think this is going to be a fast pace. We've got a race flow. I think you've got some front runners with Reincarnate and Saudi Crown. The race flow is going to favor the off-the-pace runners. I think Gilmore, Cruppy, Dreamlike, and Scotland could all take advantage of that fast pace if the fractions get hot early on between Saudi Crown and Reincarnate. Now let's take a look at the overall pace scenario. Saudi Crown and Reincarnate engaging for the lead. I see that at the 6 furlong mark. Saudi Crown may be slightly ahead. The presser's going to get a good trip. Il Miracolo, Gilmore, West Coast Cowboy running some nice races at this time, and then Scotland in that drop of class. I think he'll be getting a good forwardly placed trip and can make that move on the turn. Meanwhile, mid-pack runners are going to be Dreamlike and Cruppy, and a competitive Pennsylvania Derby. Again, I think the favorite off-the-pace runners, that's where the pace is going to favor in this race. A lot of ways you can go in the Pennsylvania Derby. You could take a crack at Scotland at 6-1. Reincarnate ships in the West Coast. Bob Baffert does well in this race. I'm going to take a long shot. I'm going to go with Dreamlike. 2 back, I thought he was very impressive at Saratoga. He's 10-1 in the morning line. He's a little bit of a long shot. I'm going to play him in exactas. Hope that we get a fast pace in this race. Dreamlike over Cruppy, Saudi Crown, and Gilmore for my exactas in the Pennsylvania Derby. But again, I'm hoping for a fast pace to set it up for Dreamlike to come off the pace. Don't forget, we're going to have a preview up of the Cotillion for the 3-year-old fillies later on this week. That drew a competitive field, pretty mischievous. The Kentucky Oaks winner entered in the Cotillion Stakes on Saturday at Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, the morning line looks like this: 3-1 on Reincarnate, Saudi Crown at 7-2, 5-1 on Magic Tap, 6-1 on Scotland. Upcoming race previews, we've got the Cotillion, Awesome Again, Keeneland Futurity, and Champagne Stakes for 2-year-olds. Don't forget, our Breeders' Cup updates are already up. You can see the September 17th update. And I did an author interview with Jennifer S. Kelly of the Foxes of Bel-Air. Learn about the Triple Crown winners, Gallant Fox and Omaha, as she also wrote a book on Sir Barton. Her next book is going to be about the history of the Triple Crown. So watch that interview with Jennifer Kelly. It's all part of the big Pennsylvania Day card. Who do you like in the Pennsylvania Derby? Leave a comment. As D. Wayne Lucas says, people have opinions. Horses have the facts.